We all have a role to play in this effort to bring about revolutionary change in this country, and it starts with the Zionist state. And the fact that you have probably to considerable detriment, like you said, it's one thing if you dated a girl or two, maybe she was from Miami, maybe she was from Parkland or, someplace in between. You liked her, you thought things were going well, but then you realized that she really loves Israel and she really hates Arabs.
Jacob, you want some like sort of like motherly advice a little bit, or just I got to.
Of course, absolutely.
Stick with the shiksas. Stick with the shiksas.
Shiks appeal?
Shiks appeal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Point taken.
Yeah.
No, especially down here, especially in South Florida, right? Like because that's the thing. People are like, there's all different types of Jews. There really are. And South Florida is a very particular breed. And it's not the same as like Texas Jews. I lived in Texas. Texas Jews is a whole different thing. There's Texas Jews and then there's Jews in Texas, but it's, I was a Jew in Texas, but Texas Jews, all different kinds of people. Cleveland Jews, also different, it's all very different, but basically stay away from South Florida Jews.
Basically what you have in South Florida is you've got all the northeastern neurotic Jews, and then you factor in the water and the sun of South Florida, and then you really get crazy people. So
that's an excellent way to describe it. Perfect. People from New England, essentially.
You lose a few people that are in that you lose a few people in your orbit that you thought once were a part of your coalition, if you will. Right. Well, now you've got Jen and I and a lot of other people that are going to see this. We'll share it on social media. I want to
stay away from the Broward Dems too. That's another bit of advice.
Oh, absolutely. They're spineless. They're cowards. I'm
just making sure you're aware of that. Like, don't waste your time there. There's nothing good comes of that.
Definitely not.
No, but you know what? I can't really say much good about Governor DeSantis, but if he eventually gerrymanders Wasserman Schultz out of her seat, hey, listen, whatever it takes to get rid of her, and it looks like there's a very good chance that that's what's coming in 2026. Okay, well, listen, you know what? We offered you change in South Florida. You didn't want it because it wasn't, it didn't fit the mold of what you were looking for, or it wasn't decorum politics. Well, guess what? Now it's going to get a lot worse. So, okay, we tried. We offered. It was an offering. It didn't happen, but there's a lot more change that is coming down the road. And I want to
facts.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, 1,000%. And like I said, it is what it is. However, and one of the best people in politics in South Florida, who happens to be in the labor movement, Debbie basically blackmailed him and decided that because he had intentions to support Jen and try to get the labor unions to back her when she ran this last time, Debbie basically said, yeah, you're not doing that. And if you try it, I'm going to ruin your whole life.
She threatened him. She bullies people. She threatens them.
And let's not even get started.
He's a very high up person in labor Teamsters and AFL-CIO, and somebody who has a certain amount of political capital in that realm. And he's a friend of ours. And she blackmailed him. She held something over him. This is how she plays. It's what she.
Dirt. She had dirt.
Oh yeah, and don't even. And you want to talk about what she
and
does.
I know the dirt, and it's so not worthy, but he just it just wasn't worth.
Well, this is the thing about the Zios too. You have to remember, and Debbie is as proud a Zionist as anybody in politics.
Oh, she's disgusting.
It doesn't matter if it's true or not. It's not what you know; it's what you can prove. And if she can create this idea that somebody's a pederast, for example, hey, she'll do it. Debbie doesn't have a conscience. She's a total sociopath. So to me, there is nothing that you can really put past her. And I'm not even getting into what she does in the Black community, particularly in Dania and Hollywood, and the way that she puts people under her thumb there, and what she does to keep
that's another thing
about that. So it is unfortunate that that is what the whole odyssey of South Florida politics, at least from my perspective, is going to be remembered for. But what I will say is that when Jen ran in 24 and this decision was made pretty much right after October 7th. It was an intention to run knowing that there was probably no chance of winning. But we had to use the platform in order to start the conversation that was necessary to at least start to change some hearts and minds when it came to what ultimately became this sort of shifting away from the support for the state of Israel. It didn't happen overnight, but I would like to think that this ad that was put together for Jen's campaign played a small role in that, which ended up getting a lot of traction.
Peter likes to play the ad because we have a PAC now that's we have an anti-PAC PAC. And so we're standing up for candidates that are fighting against the AIPAC people. So, yeah.
This is me at 16 years old in Israel on a high school trip holding an assault rifle. And this is the definition of indoctrination. I grew up in North Miami Beach. I grew up in a very insulated, very Jewish community. We were taught that Palestine and Palestinians, that's not a real thing, that was made up by Arabs. Everybody over there that wasn't Jewish was just Arabs. But the message was always clear that Jews were not safe and that the Arabs wanted to hurt us.
That will forever be an image that I know won't change anytime soon, but it's important to understand how people can grow out of this. It is possible. It's very hard for a lot of people. But if you can stand in front of that fucking wall.
Well, ironically, it's not even what they think it is, because it's really Roman. It's actually Roman, and what they're all praying to is Roman relics. But it's such a mythology.
Well, sure. But then again, don't get in the way of people's fantasy beliefs.
But yes, that's me.
My relatives, my great-grandmother, my grandmother were raised with this fear mentality that without the state of Israel, Jews around the world will not be safe. True history was kept from us. We were propagandized. But as I grew older, I began to see a different reality unfolding. I witnessed the rise of the Israeli lobby, exerting its influence on our politics and policies. I learned about the injustices happening thousands of miles away in the name of Jewish people. And I can't stay silent in the face of such injustice. The right to return denied to so many Palestinians. The war fueled by the Israeli government and sanctioned by our own country, condemned by the UN and the International Court of Justice as genocide. We cannot turn a blind eye to this injustice any longer. To me, atonement is really taking accountability for your participation in something that you now realize was not correct in some way and wronged people in some way. I participated in an ethnic cleansing state. I do not feel powerless. I feel hopeful. It is time for us to use our voices to stand in solidarity with the oppressed, to demand accountability from our leaders. As a candidate, as a mother, as an ally, I pledge to fight for justice and equity for everyone, here at home and abroad. For there can be no peace without true justice. I'm Jen Perelman. I'm running for Congress, Florida's 25th district.
I know Peter loves that ad. It's a good ad.
Nice. Very, very nice.
Yeah. It came out good.
And unfortunately, the people that live in Florida's 25th congressional district, they're not the best. They're not the best of people, unfortunately. And
no, they aren't. No, they
aren't. We figured that. Like, I figured that. We knew that, you know, but it is what it is, right? But I'm not going to let her be the Jewish narrative. I'm not going to let her be the only Jewish narrative and have that be the perception, because it is very dangerous. And we're seeing actual real anti-Jew hatred on a huge rise. And it is directly correlated to the Zio state. and what they're doing and saying it's for us and for the Jewish people. Well, it isn't. It is most definitely not for us.
Definitely not. And I think Hannah Einbinder, the actress,
Yes,
had an excellent point in her. I think she did an interview with Simone Zimmerman not too long ago, rather. And she made an excellent point explaining how the Zionist will make the argument that you cannot separate Jews and Israel. They are intertwined. They are linked. And simultaneously, they will also try to claim that it is wrong to blame Jews for the actions of Israel, and that it is wrong to collectivize Jewish people and express any sort of hatred towards Jewish people for what your views are on the state of Israel. And you can't, there's a contradiction here, because in one instance, you're trying to say Jews and Israel are linked. And then in another instance, you're trying to say Jews and Israel are not linked. Jews are correct. So by your own definition, Jews are collectively responsible for Israel's actions if Jews and Israel are interlinked.
Yeah. But they want that. They want that. They want to feed that fear perception. They want, it's like, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You paint Jews as evil, and people aren't going to like us. And then you're able to say, look, see, people hate us. Well, yeah, I get that. I know.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy to committing crimes against humanity, attaching those crimes against humanity to Judaism. Then as a result, anti-Semitism increases as a result. And then these people will point to this increase and say, this is why we need Israel.
Exactly.
And then rinse and repeat.
Exactly.
We'll conclude on this note. I did let's just say a little bit of, I do a solo show on Saturday night, and I did a little expose on Jacobi. And trust me, you'll enjoy it. If you're subscribed to the channel, you check it out tomorrow, you'll be like, yep, that makes complete sense.
Okay.
And so when I saw Myron Gaines, of course, Fresh and Fit podcast out of Miami, and they,
disgusting.
I try explaining to people, you have to understand that when you say get lost Jew, get lost kike, you're not going to solve this issue. In fact, what you are doing, which is why I'm not entirely convinced that they're not ops themselves. If you don't know at this point that type of language is helping the Zio state, then either you're a moron or you're in on it.
Right.
It's either one of the two. Because there's no way you don't know that doesn't help their cause. You have to know that it does. So when I have addressed this with, and I converse with various, I primarily like to converse with libertarians, but we'll have conservatives that'll come on that are.
I don't.
And when I address the issue, particularly when it comes to people like Gaines, like Dan Bilzerian, who probably needs lunch, and then Jake Shields, I try to tell them, they probably do hate Israel, but they also hate Jews too. Like, you got to be objective about this. Like, their whole intention is to allow their anti-Jewish hatred to fly now because the Zionists have allowed it to do so. But if your intention is to break the Zio state, you can't have people like that being the spokespeople, because that's going to kill whatever movement you think you're going to have, because there's a lot of conservative or libertarian people that are out there that absolutely are not like that, and that they 1,000% agree with what we're trying to do here. So these coalitions that we form it is imperative that we are concise about it, but that we realize how much it is important to have these voices.